Hello and welcome back to another video, guys. Now that's right, today we're here to review the first and at the minute only season of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight. So this is the first time I'm actually reviewing one of the Marvel shows. I always review the Star Wars stuff. We've done Book of Boba Fett, both seasons of Mandalorian, the Bad Batch, and I think I've done the final season of Clone Wars as well. It's basically everything that comes to Disney+. But I haven't done the Marvel shows because I sort of figured, I've been reviewing all the movies. I'm up to Guardians of the Galaxy 1 at the minute, and I figured I'd just keep going in order. But I always review the movies as they come out, from Black Widow onwards. With the shows, I sort of figured as I sort of catch up and get to Far From Home, I'll then do the shows. But I sort of thought while Hawkeye was airing, maybe I should start reviewing these shows when they finish. But then Hawkeye, there wasn't loads to talk about for me with that one. It was kind of an average, on the average side of Marvel. But this one here, I really wanted to come on and talk about Moon Knight. And I thought, you know what, Moon Knight, this is going to be the one where I finally start reviewing the Marvel series as they end. So yeah, we're going to review all the Marvel shows now as they end. And I will do WandaVision, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye, and probably What If. Just they're going to be at the end of the barrel, or the end of the line. Sorry. We might it'll be Age of Ultron next. Well, it'll be Doctor Strange next. That comes out tomorrow. It'll be Age of Ultron next, and then working my way all the way forward to the other shows. But anyway, the shows that are coming out from now on, I'm going to review once they're done. So Miss Marvel, when that finishes, I'll review that as well. Blah 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 blah. So just like I do with my Star Wars, the Star Wars shows, I'll just talk episode by episode. So I'll have a little thing come up here so that you know what episode I'm on. There's only 6 episodes. So there's not loads to go over. And I'll also say this as well. Me and my good friend Ryan, who I did a podcast with, we will go over all of this in more detail in our podcast. This week, obviously, it's all about Doctor Strange, but the following week, we're going to do our episode on Moon Knight, and we'll go over it in a lot more detail. And Ryan knows a lot more about this character than me, so the podcast will probably be better. I'm really underselling my actual YouTube video here, but so I'll come out the gate straight away and say I didn't know Moon Knight before this. I always do my research with Marvel characters. Before the Guardians come out, I went and read a whole bunch of Guardians comics. I've done the same for Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Doctor Strange, and Captain Marvel. I even read a couple Eternals comics. But there's a few that I don't know why. Like Shang-Chi and Moon Knight are 2 characters I never really went and read any of their comics before. So I went into Shang-Chi completely blind, really. And I went into Moon Knight completely blind. I just heard people talk about this character, and my good friend Ryan talk about him. Say, like, he's basically Marvel's Batman. He wears white so his enemies can see him coming. And it's like, this guy sounds really cool. They cast Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke in this, 2 of my favourite actors. And from the word go, I was buzzing about this show. It sounded like a great concept. The trailers were also fantastic. So here we go. The show came out. Episode 1. Episode 1 actually came out while I was away on holiday in Benidorm, so I had to watch it on my phone. I think the first time I watched it, I was quite pissed. But then I watched it seriously again the next morning so I could take it all in. So to start off with, this was a great introduction. I love the whole mystery element, the build up to seeing the suit. Like, you could tell instantly there was a split personality thing here with Oscar Isaac's character. There's Stephen, who we're introduced to first off, the British guy. And not a great accent from Oscar Isaac, but of course that is done on purpose because I think Mark is the original. I know now. I've seen the episode. Why am I saying it like that? Mark is the original personality of the body. So weird. And Stephen is someone who he creates, obviously. So the accent might not be great because he obviously isn't British and he hasn't lived in England all his life. So it actually makes a lot of sense. Also, I kind of love the accent, even though it isn't great. It's really cool. And he's such a likeable character, and Oscar Isaac is playing the absolute shit out of it. He's doing so good. And again, the build-up to get to the suit, you can sort of tell when he's going into the suit, like he morphs into it. And it is so well done. The execution of that is brilliant. And the build-up to seeing the suit, the reveal of the suit at the end of the episode is fantastic. I love all of the weird little clues that are being placed along throughout this episode with the goldfish and just lots of other little bits and bobs going wrong, like his date that he was meant to go on, and just him being chained up in bed and stuff. There's just a lot of unusual things going on. The introduction of Ethan Hawke's character, his character is called Arthur Harrow. Couldn't remember it, sorry. I've got some notes here. I love Ethan Hawke, and his character was so cool. Like, he's walking along in his shoes with glass in the bottom. He's got his cane, and he looks badass as hell. And the scripts in these episodes are fantastic. You know, Ethan Hawke seems to get so many great lines in all of the episodes. And he comes across really menacing as well. One of the best MCU villains we've had, I'd say. And he works so well in this in this show. He's fantastic. He's perfectly cast. So when we get to the end and we do get the reveal of the suit, it's awesome. It's so cool. It is the bit we saw from the trailers and stuff. We had seen this clip before, but it was still amazing, and it got me so hyped for episode 2. The one thing I didn't like about episode 1, I think that the cinematography was really quite poor at times. There was some shots which just looked really flat and really empty, and I didn't think the editing was great a couple times. Like, it would jump from him in a village where Ethan Hawke's character was about to get him, and it would jump to him, he'd get in a van and then drive around the corner and he was like miles away. And it wasn't that he went in the suit that time. I remember thinking, that's just not great editing. However, my complaints with episode 1 seemed to all be fixed instantly, because one of the best things about episode 2 was the cinematography. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. So there's a scene right near the end where Mark takes control of the body, and you get the Moon Knight suit, and he's running along buildings, jumping across buildings in front of the moon, and the cinematography is gorgeous. Also, the editing is so much better. And I haven't heard many people say this, so I think I'm going to be in the minority here. But episode 2 was my favourite, purely because I thought the pacing was great. I didn't think there was any slow points, and I thought it was so interesting just learning about Khonshu, I think he's called, the Khonshu, he was actually introduced in episode 1. You do see him a couple times. I love the design of him. I love his voice. I love everything about him. He's a whiny kind of anti-hero, and it's great. And just learning about him, seeing Mark and Steven interact was brilliant. You sort of have Layla come into this one, and seeing her, develop alongside the Mark and Steven was great. Seeing Mr. Knight, I love, like, the Moon Knight costume for a start. Again, should have said this when I was talking about episode 1. They aced it. He's one of the coolest looking heroes now. Not just in Marvel, but in general. People ask me superheroes who look the coolest. I honestly think he could crack my top 5. He looks freaking amazing. But Mr. Knight also looks amazing. Like, he's got style to him. I love it. He looks fantastic. So yeah, the episode 2 was just so much. I love the conversation with Ethan Hawke's character. Just seeing Steven, he's very confused, very conflicted in this episode, and seeing him talk to Ethan Hawke's character, it was fascinating to me. I thought just everything about this episode, on a technical level, this is up there with WandaVision, with some of Marvel's best technical work. Like, as I said, the cinematography was gorgeous, the script was great, the acting is incredible. How Oscar Isaac switches so quickly between these two personalities is fantastic. This episode was damn near perfection, and definitely within my top 3 Marvel episodes of anything. I loved it. I thought it was great. And it's so weird that it's such an early on episode. So yeah, that was great. And then episode 3 is where, of course, we actually go to Egypt. And the show definitely changes a bit here. Of course, this episode stars... hang on, I've got to try and pronounce his name here. Sorry. Gaspard Ulliel, who played Anton, who, unfortunately passed away between filming and the show coming out. So rest in peace to him. But he gave a fantastic performance in this episode. And his character was really cool for the short time he was in it, and played quite a vital part in this one. So that was really cool. But yeah, this episode for me, the episode itself kind of gets a bit lost because it's sort of sandwiched between 2 episodes I prefer. But it's great to go to Egypt and you get to see Layla and Steven's relationships sort of develop, whereas obviously Stephen, he's sort of new to all of this, whereas Mark's the one who has had previous relationships. You know, he was married to Layla, so that's really, really interesting. I thought interesting direction there. But yeah, I thought that the episode was good overall. Don't have as much to say about this one. I think this one had one of my favourite bits. I can't remember whether it was in this or episode 4, but there was a bit where Stephen was Mr. Knight, and he's like, "Nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat up the bad guys." And then he instantly gets beat up a bit, and he's like, "Right, Mark, take over." Like, the humour was really good in this episode. We're going to get to a character in a bit, which does fall into that typical Marvel humour. But the up till that point, which we'll get to, I feel like the humour in the show works really well. It isn't as in your face. It's a lot more subtle, which makes a lot more sense for the show. The show is a lot more brutal, grounded. And I think, you know, this one will appeal to adults more. And I think that's why the humour in this one works really well. And it works really well, I think. So yeah, it was a very good episode again. Episode 4 is definitely when things get shaken up a bit, you know. The first half of the episode feels very similar to episode 3, where, you know, they're getting closer and closer to finding the, I forget what it's called, the statues, the Egyptian gods sort of get trapped in, before they come out and try and find their avatars in this show. But, so something happens, of course. Halfway through, we have this, big reveal of, what happened with Layla'S death, father's death, sorry. And, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, actually, because it gets handled really well in this episode. It's really interesting, but they don't really come back to it in the finale, which we'll get to the finale. But, yeah, they don't really come back to it, because, obviously, between episode 5 is set completely different to the rest of the show. But, yeah, so that was interesting. And then, of course, Mark, Stephen, you know, Oscar Isaacs, gets shot. And he goes off to this other place, and I did not have a clue what was happening. I've spotted a couple bits from previous episodes. I was like, oh, okay, there's that from that episode, there's that from that episode. And Ethan Hawke's there, Layla'S there as well. And Ethan Hawke pops up right at the very end. And then Mark and Stephen come together, and you get a good tease there of Jake as well, which is one of his other personalities, which I actually knew about going into the show. And then a hippo pops up. A walking, talking hippo. And yeah, I really liked this episode, but when it ended, I remember saying to my friends, I really liked it, but I just don't know what to make of it, because I was just so confused for the ending. I need next week's to explain what's happening. So the next episode comes, and yeah, it is just it just fully explores the history of this character, going back in time and seeing how Mark sort of invented or made Stephen. And it's a truly fascinating episode. There are so many incredible things about this episode, which I love. Just the development on this character, that how they just pick this character apart. And throughout this one episode, he becomes one of the most developed characters in the MCU ever, probably. Which is great, and you really get a feel for how he's ended up like that, why he's ended up like that. And it's a fascinating episode. On top of that, yeah, so we have a talking hippo in this. I'm trying to find the name of the god, but I can't find her name. I mean, she's one of the Egyptian gods, and, you know, she's the Egyptian god of, I can't remember what it was. Is it women or pregnant women or something like that? I don't know, something along those lines. And I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the hippo character. I'll tell you why. Because these Egyptian gods are meant to be old, ancient gods that have, you know, looked over Earth and stuff for hundreds, thousands of years. Khonshu seems quite serious, even though he's a bit whiny. And when we get to the villain in the last episode, quite serious god as well. There's some very slapsticky Marvel humour here, where half the time she's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Notes. This is what I meant to say. And I wasn't a huge fan of that. It kept pulling me out of the episode. Like, I feel like you should be a lot smarter than you are. So I can't lie, because I like the CG, the effects were great. And she was a charming character, I guess, and the voice actress done a good job, but I just didn't like the script surrounding her. It pulled me out a bit, which is a shame, because the rest of the show has this real serious kind of tone, even when it was being funny. It's like, yeah, I can imagine someone making a joke like that at this point, but I feel like hers were a bit too far, kind of typical Marvel, which I don't mind. I really don't. I like Marvel's humor. I just didn't think it worked as well with this show. But yeah, I did overall like the episode a lot. And then we get to the finale, which came out today. Came out about 7 hours ago or so now. And yeah, the finale was great. It stuck the landing. I was really conflicted. I was like, Marvel finales, I love the WandaVision one, but I know a lot of people didn't because they put their expectations too high and then got disappointed. Low-key, you either love it or you hate it, because it does set up a lot of MCU stuff, but then it does feel completely different to the rest of the show. Falcon and the Winter Soldier one was good, but the rest of the show was very average. The Hawkeye one was quite underwhelming. So, you know, the Marvel show's finales are very hit and miss, I think. But this one was really good. This was probably the best one. So my issues with it would probably be that, yeah, Layla's father's death and stuff doesn't really come back into play. I can see there isn't much room for it in the show, in this episode, because it has so much other stuff to wrap up. But it would have been nice to have a bit more, I don't know, talk on it. And the end credit scene I found a little bit underwhelming. So we get introduced to Jake. We get to see Jake, and it's cool. Khonshu looks great in this scene with the limo and stuff. And Ethan Hawke's character does unfortunately die there, which is a shame because it means no more Ethan Hawke in the MCU. But I feel like I just wanted a tease of when we could potentially next see Moon Knight, because I love this show, love this character. I'm buzzing to see him again, and I've got no idea when we're going to see him again at the minute. So I kind of would have liked a tease of, like, I don't know, just where he could pop up next. But anyway, it wasn't a bad end credit scene. I thought it was just a bit underwhelming, because we all knew Jake was coming. And that's the thing, they also do a bit in this where Jake takes over and murders a bunch of people. And it wasn't Steven, and it wasn't Mark. And they sort of brush over it really quick. Like, they sort of just go, oh, it wasn't me. And it's like, okay, let's carry on. It's like, guys, come on, there's another personality here. They sort of just forget about it quite quick. And then, yeah, I don't know, I feel like I would have gone a different way with that. The episode itself, though, my god, one of the best Marvel fight scenes ever. Seeing Khonshu and the bad god, Amit, seeing them fight was amazing. Amit was awesome as well, looked fantastic. The effects were great, the voice actress as well, she's done such a great job. She sounded really intimidating and stuff, I loved it. So all of that stuff was brilliant. Layla gets the hippo god goes into Layla. Layla becomes her avatar. And, wow, Layla's costume was awesome. And it's funny, I'm going to steal this from my friend Ryan. He said this. Her costume kind of looked like Wonder Woman's. But it was actually a good actress in the costume, so it was a bit more believable. And she used the costume more. Didn't instantly have it beaten the shit out of, and she lost the wings. So it was a lot better than Wonder Woman 84. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this episode was great. It was a fantastic finale. I know it sounds like I've ragged on a couple little bits of it, and they're more just nitpicks than anything. I really did like this overall. So yeah, Moon Knight for me. This is, I want to say it's my favourite Marvel show, to be honest, but I am such a huge WandaVision fan. I really loved WandaVision. But this is easily my second favourite now. And, you know, if you catch me on an off day, I could be convinced it is my favourite, I think. It's up there. It really is. For me, it's a big improvement over Hawkeye, because I wasn't huge on that. I found that kind of on the average side. And I was a bit worried that maybe Marvel were going to start going down this more, we're just going to do kind of filler shows in between the movies. I was a bit worried that that's what we were potentially going to get from them, because I didn't think the Miss Marvel trailer looked great either. But Moon Knight's given me a lot more faith. This was a great show, really, really fantastic. And I'm so pumped to see Moon Knight again. I don't know when we're going to see him, that's the thing. He's honestly become one of my favourite Marvel heroes through this one show, which says a lot about how good the character and the show itself was. I'm going to give this show an 8.5 out of 10 overall. It's really solid. It's right up there now with WandaVision and The Mandalorian in terms of top Disney Plus stuff. It's a really, really high quality show. But anyway, that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed as always. Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Nowhere tomorrow, so I'll be back. I'm seeing it quite late tomorrow, so it'll be Friday, my review. But anyway, I look forward to speaking with you all again soon. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a message. And as always, I'll see you next time for another video. Bye-bye.